You're welcome back. Now, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has dismissed accusations by victims of the June 3 flood and fire disaster that it is refusing to disburse monies they are entitled to receive as compensation from government. Government set up a fund in 2015 following the disaster to raise money to compensate survivors and dependents of those who died in the accident. But 3 years on, the survivors say they are yet to be paid their compensation. There's more in this report.
It has been described as the worst disaster in the country's history, a combination of fire and flood that claims the lives of more than 150. Many others got lucky and managed to escape with various degrees of injuries. Kwesi is one of them.
The floods had covered the entire road, so I wanted to cross over to the Vienna city end. The situation was better there.
Days after the disaster, President Mahama announced government had set aside 51 million cedis to cater for survivors and families of victims of the disaster.
Government has allocated an amount of 50 million cedis to cover relief and humanitarian operations, repair of damaged public infrastructure, and the silting and clearing of waterways.
Following the establishment of the fund, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly began disbursing funds to some victims. But 3 years on, many of the survivors who were promised some form of financial assistance say they are yet to receive any form of support.
Those who are affected by the disaster that happened at Circle deserve to be compensated. Government must investigate where the money has gone to. I want government to come to our aid. I feel pains in my navel anytime I pee. I don't even know if my penis will function.
Just as our leaders have homes to lay their heads with their children, they should also think of us. They should be concerned of how we even manage to sleep. They should release our compensations.
The survivors have issued a 1-week ultimatum to the AMA to disburse the funds or face their wrath.
And joining us in the studio is lawyer for the victims, Mary Ohinwa Afola. Many thanks for joining us in the studio. Now, you represent some of these victims. What were they specifically promised and what has happened since?
Thank you very much. With issues of compensation or donations or whatever, there was a disaster which we all saw or we all witnessed. Many people died. Others also suffered severe injuries. The case of the victims are that 11 heads of states donated monies to be given to them. And the Ghana government at that time, President Mahama, ex-President Mahama, also compensated them for their injuries and for the disaster. But up to date, they haven't received any money. And even for
how much
some
are we talking
of them,
about in terms of the compensation package?
The records are with AMA. Some records are there. I understand President Mahama donated money to every victim, about 60,000 Ghana cedis or so. And then with the 11 heads of state, there were donations.
The victims are many.
Unaccounted monies. All were received by the AMA. And then also, last year, I am told that the Benin government also brought an amount of $200,000 to the office of the president. And that money was received by the Chief of Staff, Madam Freeman Parry. So all these monies, because it is 3 years now, if they have received the monies, we won't even embark on this press conference and all that.
So explain to me exactly what their concerns are. Is it that when they go to the AMA to claim these monies, they are unable to claim it for what particular reason? According to the AMA, they have disbursed those monies. So we have 30 questions to ask. Where are the monies? Who was mandated by law to manage that account? How were the disbursements made? Even when we asked of a single record of disbursement, we were not given from the AMA office. And we also realized that as at January this year,
the president, Nana President Gufado, had written to the office of the AMA, the CEO of AMA, to demand records. That letter has not been responded. So it means that we don't have records of payments. They are saying there was a video of the distribution of the monies, but I am saddened by the fact that we have put people there to run affairs of government. Can't they have things put on record? Because we have the former chief financial officer, Mr. And number 6. We wanted to know, he is responsible for all records. So we want to know, where are the records of payments? AMA should not be joking with the lives of poor people, because the victim, the disaster has rendered these people poor. They can't even afford a meal a day. Some of them need serious medical treatment. So is it the case that the government of Ghana, even if the previous government did not ensure that these people had received their monies, what about the ruling government now?
We understand from the AMA that the process for claiming these monies is quite cumbersome. It's not as simple as it seems. So, I mean, the authorities say that you have to go through a rigid system, a rigid process in order to claim the monies, because there are people who are also charlatans who are also trying to take advantage of the system to claim some of these monies.
You know what, there's only one question that I wish that AMA would be able to answer. Can they provide the people of Ghana the records of the disbursements? Can they also provide us with how the account was recreated, how it was received, can they provide that? That means that we will not have a case if they can provide us with all these things. Can the chief financial officer, the former chief, also provide us with records of the disbursement? Can they provide us?
I imagine you must have been going to
there is no record there.
Right.
It means that they have stolen their monies. It means that somebody. You know what? The AMA has always been managed by one CEO from successive government. It's Mr. Ayadate. We want to know. I want the media to ask him, why are the records? What role did he play? The AMA at that time was under the local government. The minister at that time was Collins Dauda. Ask him for us. We want to know what role he played.
I want to know your various visits to the AMA, the authorities' office.
Yes.
What explanations have they been given?
There isn't a record. We spoke to Mr. Bright. He's the current NADMO director. This was the 7th of August. We wanted to find a single record showing that these monies were given to these people, even if they are not the real victims. We even wanted some record, a one-page paper. We couldn't find a document. So we are asking,
all right,
what is wrong?
Madam Afo, hold on for a minute. We've been speaking to the AMA, and they have denied the victims' accusations that it's refusing to disperse the monies that they're entitled to receive as compensation from government. Public Relations Officer of the AMA, Gilbert Ankra, says some monies have been paid to the survivors. He, however, reveals some persons who are neither victims nor families of the bereaved are trying to take advantage of the process, a situation which poses a great challenge to the AMA. He spoke on The Pulse with Gifty Ando Apia.
The mayor himself brought out documents of all of them, mentioned names, so there were a couple of them who were not part. But we are looking at dealing with the issue holistically. So all of them who have consent, and they came with a leader. So we are liaising with their leader. The mayor has arranged another meeting with them to look at the issue that the assembly is putting in measures to ensure that we compensate them. Whatever issues that they have, the mayor is looking at it. Don't forget, this issue happened some time back. Some monies were made out. So we have to follow due process to ensure that we deal with the issue, that after the meeting with them, a lot of consultations have been made, and very soon, in the coming weeks, 1 or 2, we will call them back to ensure that whatever needs to be done for them to get their lives back will be done. Although we wouldn't be able to deal with the issue in relation to solving whatever they have lost, but some measures will be put in place to ensure that we put some form of smiles back on their face. It is not really easy, and we sympathize with all of them.
So a week or two, you say?
Exactly.
A week or So I understand that the group that you are representing actually issued a week's ultimatum to the AMA, to pay the compensation. You heard the PRO. He says that they're going through your concerns within a week or two.
I am very saddened right now because they are taking us for a joke, and the AMA as an institution, they are not serious.
Why do you say
whatever
so?
he's saying are blatant lies. How can it? I don't even know what is wrong with the people who manage that office. That in 2015, Alfred Okovandape was the Lord Mayor of that of AMA.
Right.
We are asking them very simple questions. 2 weeks, do this week. Where are the records of the payments that they received? Can they show us a single document? Because if it is proven that even the president of Ghana wrote to them, they couldn't find a single record. If it is proven that they still do not have any record,
or
they have fabricated documents, it means that the AMA must be closed down, just like the president did to GFA. It means that they are all corrupt people. Why must you even take poor people's money?
But
these people need money for their medical treatment,
and
they sit in that office and tell lies.
I hear you say two things.
You have to take me to go to the office.
Apple, just a minute. I
hear if you're a poor person, you can't get help.
Very well. I hear you say two things. One, you are demanding compensation for your clients, and two, you're asking for records. Which one is more important to you right now? Because they've made assurances that they will meet with you to discuss the compensation.
It's taking
and the
3
payment.
years. 3 years.
Right.
Must it take me to come and do this thing for them? Why are the responsible authorities being paid by taxpayers? What have they been doing for the past? If you know what, my job is going to be easier for me if they cannot find me a single record of payments, a single record of how the account was created, a single record of who received those monies on behalf of the victims. And you know what? I'm embarking on this thing peacefully because we have a human rights lawyer as our president. And I'm expecting President Nana Akufo-Addo, even the monies that were received last year and signed by Madam Frema Opare, we want to see where the money has been given, who has received those monies. And one funny thing is that they even went several times to the flag site to meet our human rights president, and his handlers prevented. You know what? What is wrong if you are a poor person, or what is wrong if you have suffered a disaster? Whatever. What is wrong if you are not? So it doesn't mean that if you are not a lawyer, you are not whatever. Not even lawyers. Doesn't mean that the president will only meet pressed men. Or president will only arrange a meet. What about those who sell Meko and Jane? Can the president? You know what? We want to see the human rights exhibit in President Akufo-Addo. And if by in a week's time, I do not even want 1 week to come when we have not heard anything. Those at the AMA office, they must provide us with the records. If by 1 week our president has not stopped his busy schedule to attend to these vulnerable victims, it means that we must take our matter to the whole world.
Right. Right. Okay. So that you had her. That's Madam Obenewa Afol. She represents scores of victims of the June 3 flood and fire disaster, and she is giving the AMA as well as government a week's ultimatum to attend to their concerns. Many thanks for your time. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Kumsi. We're taking a